There we go. Let's give it a little time and see who comes along. Where's my phone? Waiting for someone to come along. Yes, how can I help you? How can I help you? Keep your voice down because they'll hear you. I'm live already. Okay, all right, great. Yeah. Is anyone there? Let me know. I'll give it another minute and then I will start. Okay, I'm going to start. You can say hello if you're there. Let's stop the music. Right. Give me a moment to stop the music. I would like it if you can say hello in the chat. Let's dig into it. Okay. All right. Let us talk about it. Being a man, because women want men to be men. The thing is that people don't know this. And that's because they find a lot of resistant women. And that is because you are either dealing with a woman who doesn't realize how she's shooting herself in the foot, and she will eventually realize it. Give me a moment. Or you're dealing with a child woman. That's what I say. So when you're dealing with a child woman, that's a woman who is inexperienced with life. And she's fallen into the narrative that is out there that tells all of us, tells both men and women that a woman should be assertive and even with her man, otherwise she will be taken advantage of. But here is the thing. A woman who is dealing with a man and she is being assertive over him and he's falling under her, none of them are going to enjoy that relationship. She's going to get frustrated because she cannot look upon him as a man. She can't look up to him. And the man is going to be frustrated because he's going to have an unwilling partner and they'll keep on being at loggerheads. So nobody's going to enjoy that relationship. And that woman actually knows that she's not happy with this man because he's not being a man. So how does this man get this woman's respect when she continues to assert herself? So it tells you right there that there is no way a person will assert themselves over you unless you have taken a submissive position. But at the same time, we don't want men who are bullies. I don't want a man who is a bully. I cannot deal with men who cannot assert themselves, and yet I cannot deal with men who are bullies. So what it tells you is that there's got to be a middle ground where a man is being a man without being a bully. Because if you have to be a bully to be a man, there is no way that a woman is going to enjoy that relationship either. So you're having a master-servant relationship, which doesn't work for anyone. And that is what a lot of people think that they need to settle for. People think that they either need to settle for something more like a master-servant relationship, where one person is the master in the relationship. It doesn't have to be that way. The thing is, we're adopting a lazy approach and hoping that things will work simply because we don't want to take the time to think things through. But people that have understood that there is a science, there's a method to the madness, have now started to use those things and are getting successful results in their relationships. And that's why I'm doing this. As a woman, I wouldn't want to, I hate seeing couples where I can see the unhealthy dynamics. And those people are going to go on to influence younger people who see them. And my own children are going to go out in the world and they're going to meet these people. In fact, I will be meeting them every day. When I go to work, when I'm doing businesses, when I'm networking with people. And this is just ugly. And we need to put a stop to that. We have to be aware of what's happening in the world around us. The world pushes out narratives with everything, with movies, with the things on the news, with the things in our environment. And if we're not careful and if we don't think through these things by ourselves, we'll adopt the messages that are sent to us and we will not have the happy results that we should have. And that's why we are where we are in the world today. To start with, it was men who were oppressing women, and that led to women's emancipation. The women now became emancipated and then now started taking things to extremes. And that's why we're here today. Now people are trying to revert things, but no, there is a middle ground. And never forget, as I always say, the one rule in life, the natural thing in life is that we should treat others as we want to be treated. Once we can begin to adopt this mindset, things will begin to flow. But unfortunately, a lot of people are already distrustful of others. So I don't blame people for being distrustful. But the thing is, while you're treating others as you want to be treated, you watch them as well. And you have to expect and demand the same thing from them. When you don't have that, things get skewed, and that's where the trouble begins. So let me go in. I'm going to start from where I stopped the last time in episode 5. In episode 5, because last week I had episode 6, but I wanted to quickly touch on communication, and so I didn't continue from where I had stopped in episode 5. So I did that episode 6, and now episode 7 is continuing from where I stopped in episode 5. You should see episode 5 to remember where we stopped and continuing from here. But give me a second. Let me just go and quickly take a look at episode 2 because I want to be sure that I'm quoting the right episodes. Give me a moment. Okay, so that should not be episode 2 then. So that's probably episode 3 where I talk about confidence. Give me a moment if you come across this. What is that? That cannot be episode 4. Oh, episode 4 is where I talked about confidence. Okay, because I'll be referring a lot to it in this episode. All right, so I just wanted to be sure. Okay. So now let's go start today's conversation. Right. Where I stopped the last time, and I'm going to be doing a lot of reading. I said that many men are treating relationships from a position that should be and than what is good for relationships. And that's because everyone wants to show up as one who is in tune with the modern way of life. And the modern way of life encourages us to think about equality in relationships, and that is very good. However, it's not to the point where we know that a woman can do everything a man can do at work, business, career-wise, and all that. But when we're talking about relationships, there is equality, but it's a type of equality where there is a head and there is a neck. And the head cannot turn unless it uses the neck. And that is where we have the man as the head and the woman as the neck, which means that your leadership is not a leadership without that person who you are leading also cooperating with you. And that's why we cannot have somebody who is not assertive as a man, and that's why we cannot have someone who is a bully as a man. Because any way you do it, this person needs to cooperate with you. So you need someone who's going to be cooperating with you. And that's where the equality comes in. Or rather, let me say the partnership comes in. So even when you have a partnership, somebody still needs to steer the wheel. Someone still needs to be the captain of the ship. And here we believe that the man is the captain of the ship for it to be able to steer it well to get to its destination. So first and foremost, a man needs to have that in his mind when he's going into a relationship. If you don't have that, you see, that's why we have all the unhappy relationships that we have, right? Because you have a woman who isn't satisfied because she can't trust the man, she can't trust his leadership. And if he decides to now ensure that his leadership is noted by being a bully, she still cannot follow his leadership. So he's going to be frustrated and he's going to be now looking outside. So none of these people can be satisfied. So it requires us to settle down and think, use our brains. And so the question is, how are people to go about this? Where do they do it right? How can they do it right? And where do they draw the line? And what must be in place for it to work to our benefit? Right? So first, it starts with a man developing confidence in himself. Never will I be putting men down. As I say, I do not want them to come from a place of weakness. But I cannot come here and be praising you and having you all puffed up because I know it's going to work against you, right? So we just want you to have self-confidence. When you have self-confidence, as I explained a lot in episode 4, you will now show up in the right way. It does not have anything to do with the person you're dealing with. It's all about you. Everything that we want, all the results that we want in all our relationships with other people can never be achieved with us expecting a change from the other person without first reflecting upon our own selves and taking the log out of our eyes. We are the ones in control of ourselves. We're not in control of another person. So if I change myself, I will get you, I will get the person that I'm relating with to change. We can't overemphasize that. And if you're needing someone to change and you're unable to change yourself, then you need to stop the expectation, because what you cannot do, you can't expect from someone else. So let's get that straight. So go to episode 4 and make sure that you watch it. about how a man develops self-confidence in himself, so that this way he's not relying on what whoever he's dealing with is thinking. All that confidence is coming from his own mindset, and he can do it by himself. It's all between himself and the creator. Right? So you must watch episode 4 so that you can grasp how you can set about that. And then the second part is understanding psychology. We must understand psychology. So these are not things that we take for granted. If you think that you can just show up anyhow, it's going to work. No, that's why a lot of people go and settle for someone that they can bully. But still, they know that they can't enjoy that person because now you're seeing her as someone who is not smart, who is not intelligent. And you can't trust her either because you feel like the way that you can bully her and get her to do things is the way that someone else outside, other people outside, are going to see her and be able to use her head. And they're going to just take advantage of her and tell her things that she can't question. So you go and think that you want someone who doesn't question things. But when you get that person, you find out that now you are holding that person in disdain. You don't like that person. I keep on sounding all these things for you to know that every time that you think you're going to take a shortcut, you're only going to get yourself unhappy. It doesn't work. You still need to use your brains, right? But I'm breaking these things down and making it work easier for you. People that adopt these things begin to see the changes in their relationships. When they're approaching women, they see the changes from what the results that they used to have to the results that they're having now. And that's what you should do as well. One of the biggest things that we overlook in our day-to-day lives is psychology. That one, psychology is the reason why they do everything that they do. And it is rooted in the way a person sees life. And this cannot be changed easily at all. So if you understand this, then you will know to consider a person's psychology before you pick a partner. Before you pick a particular woman, you have to consider what her psychology is. And this is why I'm sorry to say that many marriages, many relationships have already ended even before they began. We're only just going forward, waiting for the day that the divorce papers are signed. And that's what it is. If the foundation isn't strong, that building is on a shaky foundation. And when the wind comes, it's going to blow it and it's going to break. And that's a fact. And so we just are simply waiting for the papers years after, for the divorce papers year after. Right? That's because in many cases, people that came together should never even have been couples in the first place. They should have just ended it a friendship because they were not a good match for this partnership where you have the leader and the person who is cooperating with them in the leadership. Once you don't have that, you are headed for it. Otherwise, you may actually last for 50 years. That relationship may last, but we know that these people are not happy. It's a miserable relationship. There is no two ways about it. There is no going about it. This is, a lot of the times we can't say, yes, this is it. But this is one of those things where we're going to say, yes, this is it. This is going to be the result that we're going to have. As I said, you may last 50 years, but it's 50 years of people who are very dissatisfied, not just people who are dissatisfied, people who are very dissatisfied. I'm going to try and make this quick. I have a lot for today, but I don't want this to go on for too long. I want to make it as short as possible. And I will just be referencing what I've written here to make it as fast as possible. Right. So one of the biggest things that we haven't come to terms with is the times that we're living in and the evolution of marriage and the dynamics of marriage. We're in a time when, whereas the marriages prior to about 65 years before now were created based on factors like connections and business and finances and family decency and whether there is insanity, there is any mental illness, all those things, preferences, all those things, excuse me, sorry, I think I skipped. Yeah, reproduction, reproductive health, fertility, all those were the things that were being considered in years before, like 65 years and older before now. But now things are different. People are considering love and companionship and their own preferences. People now know that they have their own rights and that they want their preferences and their needs to be met. And those things are valid. And those are the relationships that we're cultivating today. And if we don't take into consideration each person's needs and preferences, we get in there and we're frustrated. And that's the reason why we have all these relationship problems. We are really in a different era. And so we need to take these things into consideration. Things aren't like before, where it didn't matter because certain things were already sure. Things like the woman will be dependent on the man because she wasn't working. Or if she was working, it was just something very little. And even people will send the male to get an education, but the women were not sent to school. But now women have become empowered. And so things have really changed, and we have to move with the times. We have to adopt the changes in the time. Now we are more of equal people, and we know everybody has their rights. Even children have their rights, and those rights have to be taken into consideration in all our decision making. And that affects couples. So we need to be cognizant of the era in which we're living. And so this means that each individual has their peculiar needs, which are going to be the biggest factors to be in consideration. And so when individuals are getting together, they must check closely that these personal needs can match and function well in harmony in order to create a good relationship. And without that, it will be chaos. Give me a second. I just want to make an adjustment here. Quiet, please. Thank you. Right. So what have I done? 1 second, 1 second. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I talked about psychology. Consider, sorry, 1 second. Yeah. So now I'm going to use a case in point. The very popular Hollywood couple, Will and Jada. I see people talk a lot of bad about Will, calling him all sorts of names, weakling, simp, and all that. And I hear people call Jada all sorts of horrible names. And I'll tell you categorically that we need to put aside those labels that people are giving these two people, because we need to look at what has happened here. Yes, they are displaying according to the labels that we're titling them with, but here's what's happened, right? The truth is that this thing can happen to just anybody, but people aren't in the public eye, so we don't know what's happening behind closed doors. We don't know what's happening with them. Okay? And the reason is us not understanding how to create these relationships properly, because people are not paying attention to psychology. Actually, your voices are getting in my video. Thank you. So let me call them to be quiet. Your noise is getting in my video. Thank you. Right. So what has happened to Will and Jada can happen to anyone who hasn't paid attention to psychology, or who hasn't used real common sense, or who has the wrong notions about relationships and created the type of things that these people have going on, Jada and Will. And that's the thing that we have to take into consideration. Yeah. So the reason why Will is not in control of this relationship is because their relationship is out of control. And Jada seems to be able to do whatever she wants and whatever she likes. And we all hate watching it. We all hate seeing him take it. But the thing is, if he had understood psychology, he would have known not to have married or even to continue to pursue a woman who had already declared that someone else was what she preferred. And that's what it looks like to us. This is going by what we've heard, because I don't know whether that's a true story or not, but that could easily be what has happened here. The problem is that a lot of people think that because they've heard, like I've referred to in previous episodes, a lot of men have heard that you continue to pursue a woman even when she's not interested. That is very wrong. That's very wrong. You continue to pursue a woman even when she's acting like she's not interested, only if you have verified that she is that type of woman who is doing that simply because she does want this relationship, but she's just playing hard to get. If you don't verify that this is her reason, it's very possible, very easily possible that she does not want that relationship. And that is because she has considered everything about it and she believes that this isn't for her. And the thing about us human beings is that we already have a life before we meet someone. So if someone is already sure that what I want is not in alignment with what this relationship is going to be, do we realize that if we continue to pursue this relationship with this woman and she gives in, what we're going to get is someone who has given in for other reasons, like I said in other episodes, given in because maybe time has passed by, maybe she's not able to get what she wanted. And so this is not what she wants, but she's just settling. When you get someone who is just settling, they're not going to go into that relationship to work with you. They're just taking it because they don't have a choice now, or maybe out of pity for you. And so that's why you're going to have to be careful to not take those things that you hear out there. You have to watch each person, each individual, watch yourself and watch what's happening with that person and actually talk with the person. Tell the person directly. Go and watch it in episode 6. I talked about that there, right? So, do you know what happens when yeah, I said because people think that my love, my strong love and dedication, my generosity, my kindness and patience, or giving ultimatums will change a person. That will never happen. So people think all these and then they go ahead and get married. And do you know what giving ultimatums and warnings will do when a man gives them to a woman who isn't happy to be with him? She will not care. And that's why you will give the ultimatum this time, give it next time, give it 10 times, and she will continue to do what she's doing. Because if she really wanted to be there, she would be worried about the consequences of her not changing whatever it is that you're complaining about. That's one. And secondly, she's also seeing that you are not going to do anything about it. And that is why you must do something about it when you've communicated that you're not happy with what's happening. If you don't do anything about it, that is you showing weakness. And it's not just women who don't tolerate weakness. Even children do not tolerate weakness. Children do not work well. Nobody works well with weakness. If you go in the office and you have a manager or a supervisor who says, if you don't do this, this is going to happen, and they notice that there are no repercussions for anything that happens, nobody's going to take that person serious. So we have to take our relationships like we're managing a department or a company or a business. It's a product. If this and this are not in place, this is going to happen. This will be the repercussion. And we can't let those things continue. And that's how we lose control of a relationship. Now, what happens when you've gone and you have kind of begged this person to be in this relationship with you? You don't have the guts and you don't have the will to make them do what you need to be done or to give them the repercussions for not going according to what we have planned, which we know is the right thing for us to do. You don't have the guts because you're afraid and you are walking on eggshells because you don't want to make them remember that they really didn't want to be here. And that's why you lower your voice, you shrink yourself. You can't make things happen here because you don't want to lose that person. That's why it doesn't make sense and it doesn't work for us to cajole someone into a relationship, because once we've done that, we've given away our strength. And that's why everybody has to be there fully and wholly, like an equal partner, not someone who begged the other person to come in, because they will always have you wrapped around their finger to do whatever they want with you. Your voice will not be heard. You will have to be shrinking yourself. So throw away those ideas that tell you that you should keep on chasing someone who has shown that they're not interested in taking this journey with you. Don't do that. You're going to get someone who is going to be working against you, right? If you don't have the confidence that you're going to get someone else, then that tells you what you're supposed to be working on. Go and work on your self-confidence. And that is in episode 4. Go and check that. So I said, when you give ultimatums and warnings and nothing happens, she will continue because she really does not care. And she also knows that there's nothing. In fact, maybe she even wants you to carry out the ultimatum so that you can end this thing. But you're not going to do that because you're afraid to lose her. So when you have a woman that you're afraid to lose, this is what happens. Of course, we don't want to lose the person that we're with. We always want to, but then it has to be someone who also wants to be with us so that they themselves are also not wanting to lose us. That's the way that we get cooperation in a relationship. So I said, I don't want you to rush to think that you should now become a bully, because that won't work. Right? You're just dealing with someone who dedicatedly hasn't chosen you. If you become a bully, it's still the same thing. You still lose the person. Okay? But what I want is for you to let go of someone who knows that there is something that she's looking for and that she's not finding that here. When you notice those people, I want you to let them go. And I want you to not view it as a failure on your part, because it's only psychology. People decide that you're not for them, not necessarily because of any shortcomings on your part, but people had a life before you met them. I already said that. And so they know what they're looking out for. And when they see it, they will know. And if they don't know it, it's not your place to convince them. Because I've had someone telling me in the past that I don't even behave like someone who they're trying to marry, that they're showing an interest in marrying. I don't even ever call. I don't ever come to visit. Of course, I don't, because I am not interested, because I have something else that I am focused on, right? And you're not the one to tell me, you're not the one to tell the person that they don't know what they want. They know what they want. And if they don't know what they want, that's even another red flag for you. You don't go and call someone who doesn't know what they want, because it's going to be a struggle for you. And you think that you're so smart and you're so wise and you're going to be able to carry them along with you. Why would you do that when there are so many people in the world and all you have to do is widen your net? That's why I say widen your net. Don't just focus on one person. Widen your net so that you can find the best possible match for you. What are the odds that the 1, 2, 3, 10 people that you talk with are the match for you? It's the laziness on your part and the fear on your part that stops you from widening your net. You widen your net, you have more opportunities, more chances of finding the one that matches you. So psychology is very important. People do not say that you're not for them because of any shortcoming on your part. And so if you decide to settle with that person, they still have that thing working in their psyche. And it must be dealt with, right? And now that issue may be something that is fundamental in the things that this person wants and in the things that they do. So give up these people. Do not try to work with someone who doesn't want to go on that journey with you. And I also told you in episode 4 that a man who has confidence is not going to leave his own self-worth and start bending over to contort himself to make someone else happy unreasonably. That shows that you don't have self-worth. And that right there is enough for a person to even disrespect you. At the slightest hint that you don't have any self-respect, it's like if you can't even respect yourself, how can you expect respect from someone else? You can't have it, because you've already told them that you're not deserving of respect, because you're the first person who should be able to respect yourself. So you literally want that woman to F you up the ass. And yeah, I had to put that directly that way because I want you to see it visually. And that's exactly what is happening. And the woman who is doing that to you isn't going to have any respect for you, of course. Right? So I have a warning here. I say any married men who come across this, please, please, please note. Don't run off reacting in your marriage based off of what I've just said, because your case is to be handled completely differently. I'm only saying what I'm saying here. What I preach here is majorly for people who haven't created a permanent relationship, so that they can move forward carefully in creating these relationships. I don't want people to be creating more of these damned unions. I don't want that. But for people who are already married, it's a different kettle of solutions, if at all it's possible. And I will not be dealing with that unless you are ready to scatter your relationship. Because a lot of these relationships, like I said, should not even be existing in the first place. So I'm not here for you unless that's what you want. Now, so I want people to stop thinking that their money or kindness or patience or whatever it is going to make things safe. It'll never work. It won't work. All those things are useless reasons, right? Yeah. And I know some people will continue to argue in their minds, and that's just because they badly want that woman that they're interested in, because of whatever their intentions are. Because they feel like, when I have this woman is a trophy for me. I want people to know that I married this woman for whatever reason. Maybe she's very intelligent, maybe she's highly pleased in her career, in her profession, or maybe her background, her family, whatever it is. You need to think about the person who you have in front of you. Stop thinking about the things that you're going to, that people, accolades that you're going to get from people. You are the one who's going to live with that person. If you're not going to live happily, then there is no point. So you're going to marry misery. And so when a woman is not showing love for you, do not marry her. Okay? When you've done that, that's why you're struggling now. So if you go ahead and do it, remember this day. I've told you. It's your choice to waste many years of your life, because I've had people saying, well, eventually, maybe afterwards, the person turns around. I mean, what is the point going for 20 years, 25, 30 years of struggle when you might as well have saved yourself some time and found the one that matches you? Unless you are thinking, I just want to start a family now, I want to have my children now, and then you're okay to move on after that. Otherwise, you're buying yourself misery for 20 years, 25 years, 30 years, so that you can wait for this person to simmer down. If that's what you want, then. But those are the situations where some of these women will even bring you other people's children as your children, because they are not interested in you. And so they go out, they marry you for whatever reason, and then they go out, and then they bring other people's children to you, and you don't know you're raising other people's children. I have to tell you that. So you have to pay attention to psychology. Pay attention to psychology. And when you do, you can actually understand where a person's life is taking them. And then you will see if you're able to carry them on their own journey as well as doing your own journey. This is a fact and a revelation. Let me explain that to you. So the way I explained it earlier in episode 5 about a man who needed to be heard, I'll explain 2 scenarios to you. The lady that I was talking about had a man come into her life, and he started turning her life upside down because he was using her money to pursue his own goals. And then the second scenario is a man that I talked with, and the woman that he married came in and turned his life upside down. And in these 2 cases, and for many people listening to this one now, it was a simple matter of not understanding the role of psychology in creating your relationships. So in the case of the man, when that woman met him, he was needing financial validation. And in the other case of the woman, that woman was needing personal growth. And they had valid need for those things in their lives, because those were their struggles. You can't tell people to forget about their struggles just because they met you. They still need to pursue the things that are of value to them in their lives. And so all your money and all your love and all your best efforts will not change anything. It won't replace what that person's life journey has already set up for them before they met you. So understand and own your own struggles, as that your struggles are as a result of you not clearly identifying the journey that your person was on before you met them, and before you've considered your own capability to handle that journey to help them fly. So we always have to refine ourselves first before we can help someone else, right? And if we can't do that, then we have to step back from the role of partner. And even if we can do it, if we see that this person is more focused on that thing, if you claim that you love someone, then you can help them without being in a relationship with them, because that just messes up things. Because while you're in that relationship with them and helping them, they may remain there because they want to use those things that you're providing for them. That is no guarantee that this is a relationship that should go on to become solidified. So it's actually safer that you step out of the relationship and continue to help the person if you're able to carry it, if you have the bandwidth. And if you claim that you really care about that person, you don't have to be in a relationship with them to help them. That's the beauty of this thing. And actually, that way it's better, because while you're helping them from outside of the relationship, then you can actually see the way that you're relating with each other and see if it'll work, if it's a relationship that will work. And if it can't work, you let it go. Haven't you heard it said that if you love something, you let it be free? So that tells you if your love is meaningful and if it's true. And nobody's going to hold a gun to your head and say you must continue to help them. If you want to step outside the relationship, it's good for you. You can't handle being outside the relationship and helping them. Step out of it and end it there. Right? So getting together as a couple should be the furthest thing on your mind. Create a relationship of individuals that know each other and can work well together. Now, once you can figure out a person's greatest need and you can see that you can help them soar in it, whatever it is, even if you want to think about Will and Jada, then you can have their full attention. And we don't quite understand that that simple principle of loving your neighbor as yourself is what is needed in all our relationships, right? We lie to ourselves that we're doing exactly that when we take someone and we say that we love them and we're doing everything to help them while we're in a relationship with them, even though we see that they really may not really want to be in that relationship. We're lying to ourselves. So we don't understand that the best way to treat someone we love is to set them free and to love them while we have set them free. We just don't want to take the chance of losing them. But the irony is that that is exactly what makes it the easiest way to lose them, because they feel trapped. They cannot be themselves in a relationship with you because they know they just have to behave and be in place so that they can get that thing they need from you. So what you have a relationship with someone else, not the real person, but with the person who is taking advantage of what you're providing for them. And even they may not know it sometimes. They may not really be aware of it. They may tell themselves, okay, this person is good for me and that's why I'm staying in this relationship. But you see, we don't create relationships because of what we are benefiting from people. We create relationships from people that we benefit from and that we're also happy to give ourselves to. And that means that we're giving wholly, we're giving ourselves wholly and completely, not just the type where it's because of what I'm getting. And that way I won't give all of me. I'll give as much as I can manage to give. That's what's going to happen in those situations. So here is the catch. The catch is that you're focusing on doing things for them in order to win them, when what you should really be doing is focusing on yourself, in the sense that to win a person's love, you have to have their respect. You can never underestimate this. Otherwise, you may end up getting someone who may even be infatuated, and infatuation will fizzle out. And to really love someone and to have a great relationship, you must love yourself. I already said that. Loving yourself is a testament that you can be loved. And without it, you will only have the love of a child woman, if at all. And that is not the kind of thing you want, because that's not true love. I promise you. So don't do this one-sided thing. Okay? Just because you love someone doesn't mean that they must reciprocate it. So keep your mind on doing unto others as you will be done by. Right? Because you cannot claim that you love someone if it comes at the cost of forcing them to do your will. And that's why you find these people who end up in open relationships, because they find that, okay, I don't want to lose this person. I know they don't want to be here, but instead of losing them and letting them go, I'm going to subject myself to now having an open relationship so that I can still keep them. But what is the point in that? Because you know that you're still miserable. It makes no sense. Now, I am going to read something that I saw a guy write a couple of days ago. He said, "Listen up, men. Women only submit to the man that they fear." Here is the cold hard truth. Most of the time, a woman does not submit to the man who treats her nicely, who showers her with gifts or sacrifices for her. Remember that I already mentioned this many times in previous videos in this series. He goes on. He says she submits to the man that she fears. And by fear, I am not talking about physical intimidation or abuse. No real man wants to stoop that low. I told you that. He says, I'm talking about the respect that stems from knowing that you're a man. Now this goes, yeah. So you see, goes into those things that I've been telling you forever. Yeah. So you have to be a man of strength. He says you have to be a man of strength, a man of principle, and a man of authority. And without that dynamic, most women, especially modern ones, will test your limits, disrespect you, and challenge your position at every opportunity. I agree with all that, except that I would say that they're testing you. It just can't be helped. It can't be helped because if you're not showing up in authority and with respect for yourself, you cannot expect other people to respect you. That's just what it is. So he says, take a look at her behavior in the workplace. This woman will walk into an office and no matter what, no matter how ill-mannered or demanding or downright abusive her male boss is, or even her female boss, she will nod her head, comply with the orders, and even go the extra mile of staying in their good graces. Why? Because she fears the repercussions of not following their lead. She fears not losing her job. She fears losing her paycheck. She fears losing her job, and she fears that her reputation in the office might be solid. This same woman who submits to a boss who is paying her a fraction of what you provide, that's actually true, will come home and suddenly transform into a rebellious, argumentative partner who wants to wrestle you for power in your own household. Why the double standard, he says. He says it's not because most modern women do not fear or respect the It's because most modern women do not fear or respect the men that they are with. They see kindness, sacrifice, and provision as weaknesses to exploit and not strengths to admire. If you're bending over backwards for her, remember I said that. I talked about you bending over. If you're bending over backwards for her and putting her happiness above your own and accommodating her every whim, she will see you as a pushover. And the power struggle begins because in her eyes, you're not strong enough to lead. I will say that he is right with the general idea, except that I wouldn't say that those things make a man a pushover. I wouldn't say that it's because you're being sacrificial or you are putting her needs first. I wouldn't say that she's seeing you as a pushover because of those things. I will say do all those things, but you must see that this woman is not taking you for granted. He talked about accommodating her every whim. You cannot accommodate anybody's every whim. It's just not possible in life. Because if you're going to accommodate someone's every whim, it means that you're always going to put yourself at a disadvantage, even when you think doesn't work for you. Even if you have to lay yourself down, it means you have to sacrifice your sleep, your time every time, even when it is not something that's important. That is accommodating every whim. So every time that you're going to agree to do something for this woman and for anybody in life, it just has to make sense. Yes, of course, we make sacrifices. We can sacrifice our time and our sleep. We can do all that. But we have to see that it's worth it, that whatever we're sacrificing that thing for is worth it. And that this person isn't coming from a selfish place. Because if someone is coming from a selfish place and we go and sacrifice those things for that person, they are not going to, don't think that they're going to like us better. They're not. They're only going to see us as, they can't trust us. Because they're seeing us as, this person is foolish. Because I am just taking advantage of you. If I begin to take advantage of you, not only will I not trust you, because I won't believe that you're doing these things happily. It means that I can't trust you to show up real who you are. It means that I'm sure that you're going to lie to me and deceive me because you're not honest, you're not candid. And it also means that you don't respect yourself. Because when I do things that are obviously selfish and you also accommodate those, it shows that you don't respect yourself. And if you can't respect yourself, there is no way that that person is going to respect you. Right? I wouldn't. I'm a normal human being. You have to respect yourself for me to be able to respect you. I don't want anyone who will not respect themselves. But that doesn't mean that we want people who are brash. Just make it make sense. Communicate properly. Spell it out. No, this doesn't look good. This looks very selfish. I am not going to be a part of this. Right there, you're stepping into your role as a sensible human being. That's what you do. But if I see that I can just always twist you around and make you do things, even when there are things that you don't agree with and things that you don't flow with, you're losing the respect. Right? And so that's how the power struggles begin. So I say that all those things should be done, but they can only and should only be done from a place of strength. You can be supportive of her, you can be sacrificing, you can be accommodating, but while you're doing that, you must require her to also pull her own weight and also be cooperative. She must also be ready to reciprocate because we're in a relationship. And if she's not doing those things, then you probably have someone who's just there to use you. And at the same time, they're not respecting you, they're seeing you as foolish. Right? So they won't even be doing this deliberately all the time, but they will eventually get there because the respect is not there. So they can't have it. They have nothing to hold on to. So once you have someone who's only there to enjoy your sacrifices but shows no inkling to keeping up with their own path, then you have a user, and your refusal to acknowledge that and to realize that this person does not have your back shows her that you cannot be trusted because you aren't smart. That's what I said, even about those who go and pick women who they think that they want to bully around. You will eventually not, you will hold that person in disdain because you know that you can't trust that person because that person isn't smart. And so that means that she cannot respect you. So if she cannot respect you, then she certainly will not have any true desire for you. So therefore, she cannot love you. And this is how your weakness costs you the admiration and therefore costs you the love of that woman. So let that sink in, right? But you're not going to demand it because you're not to demand. What it simply shows you when a woman does not seem to want to reciprocate is that this woman perhaps is not interested in this relationship. She's not invested in it. And that is when you must let it be known that you will set her free. You are a man, so take control. Tell her straight up, women love this. They actually love this. In fact, that could be something that could even turn a woman around from seeing you as someone she doesn't respect, right? If she's clearly showing that she's not invested in the relationship and you continue, my man, we are going down the wrong road. But if she's showing that she's not interested and you put a stop to it, you let her know that you can see it and that you're going to set her free. That has been known to actually bring a woman around because she can see that you are a true man and you're bold enough to speak up to what you are seeing, right? So tell her that you don't think that this is the relationship that she wants because that is your observation. But you're not going to talk like you want to convince her to want it. You actually do not want. You don't want to convince anyone to want it. I've told you that before. So never try to convince a woman that you're good for her. It's a very wrong idea. Don't believe it when you hear those people say those things. It's a very wrong idea, right? Remember that people have their psychology and they have to be loyal to it. Whatever that woman is looking for in life, she's still going to be loyal to it. So don't try to convince her otherwise. If you help her to sway the argument in her head to your favor, she will still end up reverting to what she wanted later. You don't want to be having other people's children in your house. And I want you to remember Jada and Smith as well. Jada and Will as well. So the only reason you're going to be telling her is because you are man enough to speak the truth and you are man enough to also give her up. Yes, you are. That's what you should do. And that in itself demonstrates strength, which is admirable, as it's the opposite of just slinking away like a coward, or the opposite of continuing to try to get her, bribe her like a coward. She's never going to respect you. And so when you tell her, that's it. Now you withdraw your efforts from the relationship. And if what I mean is, you can continue to help her, like I said. If you really love someone, you want to help them. But you withdraw your efforts for trying to have a relationship. And if she wants it, she'll begin to show it by herself. So listen, I'm never going to encourage you to withdraw in order to get her attention. That's what those evil people teach. You withdraw, you may get her attention, but you're not getting the right attention. You're only getting attention from someone who is now trying to chase for the attention. That's one. Or you're getting attention from someone who wants to continue to use you. That's two. Or you're getting attention from someone who you now have to continue playing a game. You have to continue pretending that you're not interested so that you'll continue getting her attention. And that's why it works, but it works only temporarily. You'll get her attention, but not for the right reasons. And you'll get her attention, and then you have to put yourself under stress, which means you can never really truly be yourself, which means she's never going to see your true person, which means you have to continue putting up this act. And the days that you sleep and you don't put on the act, everything goes to hell. So don't take their advice. Don't withdraw to get her attention. Withdraw because you need to withdraw, because this is not the relationship for you. You only want the woman who wants to be there for you. So when you withdraw, it tells her that you're a smart man right? And I mean this seriously. You're withdrawing because if you don't, you're going to have an albatross on your neck in the future. So you withdraw because you're a bold man and you are bold enough to take the right step. And that is totally different from withdrawing to get her attention, right? Right. So you allow her to walk through her emotions. Do not bend back. If her emotions truly convince her that on her own she decides that she wants you, it'll eventually play out. If she calls, take the calls. If she texts, respond, unless you've truly moved on. But if this is someone you really cared about, you will be right there, right? You will call, you will take the calls, you will take the texts. So just remain friendly, but give a long enough space so that her true emotions will show up and you can confirm that these are her true emotions. And the mistake that people make is that once she seems to be showing the interest, the man gets all too happy and now he feels that, oh, he's got her. But it may not be what you're thinking. Remember, I told you, don't fool yourself. Let true love come if it will, so that you won't be one of the statistics of men who end up being betrayed. Okay? Go again and watch episode 5, the one on confidence in this series. Right. After this live, yeah, go and watch it so you can piece everything together. You can watch this all over again so you can piece what I'm saying together. So this man said, so the man that I'm still reading what he wrote. So he said, I stopped at when he said you have an argumentative partner who only wants to wrestle with you for power in your household. So he says this is not an isolated phenomenon. It's a pattern deeply embedded in the mindset of modern women who have been conditioned to see traditional male leadership as oppressive. But he's right and he's right. But the thing is, the truth is that we can't blame the women. It's because men started to oppress women and then women emancipation, that gave rise to women emancipation. Unfortunately, women have now taken it overboard. Right. So he continues, women want to control the relationship dynamics, but they still expect you to handle all the responsibilities of being a provider, a protector, and a problem solver. I said that, I think, in episode 5, maybe. It's a paradox that men today are blindly walking into only to find themselves disrespected in their own homes. And I don't want that. I hate seeing it. Right? I myself do not want a weak man and I do not want a bully. So now let's flip the script. He said, imagine you embody authority, decisiveness, and unshakable principles. You set boundaries, you enforce them, and you refuse to tolerate disrespect. Suddenly her behavior changes. That's like you being like her boss in the office, right? So she knows that there are consequences to stepping out of line, and she instinctively falls into her natural role of submission. This doesn't mean that you're a tyrant. I told you that. It means that you're a leader. Women crave strong leadership. Go and watch episode 6 where I talked about that. Women really want you to be strong. They want you to have their respect. A woman who is with you and doesn't see you as being leadership material cannot be proud of you. If she can't be proud of you, she cannot feel attracted to you, and she cannot love you, and she cannot feel like the bedroom with you. It's just a fact. And that's one reason why a lot of people are struggling in their relationships today. If you're struggling in the bedroom, this is one of the reasons. It's not always that she's tired, because even when she's tired, if she respects you and she's attracted to you, she admires you. In fact, she wants you to take the relief. She wants you to be where she goes to relax. She wants to be with you. This is a fact, okay? But I'm not saying that don't go start fighting your women now. I'm not saying that that's the reason for everyone. I'm just saying that this may be one of the reasons. If you have that kind of dynamic in your relationship, then this is what is happening. So, yeah. So, my brothers, remember you must develop the self-confidence. I want you to go and watch that episode 4, talking about self-confidence. Now, this man goes on. He says, I'm almost ended. He says, the truth about love and submission is this. Women don't love you for your niceness or your sacrifices. True, right? When you hear this, it doesn't mean that you can't love you for those. No, women will love you for those. But in addition, you must come up strong and as a leader who knows himself. Women love you for your strength. He says women love you for your strength, your ability to lead, and the respect that you command. Hear it? If she feels that you're weak, her instinct is to dominate and argue and test you endlessly. But when she knows that you're a man who stands firm, she will submit willingly and respect you without you having to demand it. He is right. He is right. A lot of women do this without even knowing. Subconsciously, they begin to dominate, and that's because you're not showing up as a leader. Somebody needs to lead, somebody needs to steer that ship, somebody needs to be the captain of that boat. And if you're not stepping up to your role, she's going to take it. She may not be doing this deliberately, but it will automatically and naturally happen. So when it happens, don't blame her. Actually, you cannot blame a woman for that. So that's why we always have to look inwards. It's us. It is us not showing up. Don't show up as a bully. You need to show up with common sense. And remember, it's not every woman that you can do this with. I can tell you for free, of course, I'm not going to submit to every man, right? Even if he's showing up as a leader in his own right, what if he's not my cup of tea? The same way that I cannot be every man's cup of tea. So we cannot be everybody's cup of tea. So when you see that, if you see that you're in the wrong place and with the wrong woman, take a walk, respect yourself, and just take yourself away, because this person has something that life has said before them and they're pursuing it. They're not going to leave it just because you showed up. So it's not anything to bring you down. The only thing you need to note is, have I shown up as a man? Have I shown up with confidence? Have I shown up with belief in myself? That's all that you owe the world and you owe yourself. Once you've done that, then maybe you're just not the person for this woman. But don't go under the idea that, oh, I'm just not her cup of tea, and then you leave yourself, you don't do any self-development, you don't raise yourself, you don't have respect in yourself. That is you choosing the easy way out, and you're never going to be happy either, because even you will not be happy with yourself. And then he says, if you find a woman who doesn't behave like the typical modern woman, one who, that's crap, who doesn't fight for fire, no, that's nonsense. Yeah. But the truth in what he says is that you don't want a woman who is there to prove a point or to compete with you. We don't want that. You want a woman who knows that she needs to complement your role and not to challenge it. So he says, men, stop settling for rebellion disguised as love. Be the man that she respects, not the one that she manipulates. And if she can't fall into line despite your strength, exactly what I said, walk away. You deserve peace, respect, and a woman who knows how to honor her man. That's leadership. That's masculinity. That is what you were born for. And he signs off. Aklaheliel Goni. Yeah. I totally support this message. When I saw it, I was happy. At first, I wasn't happy because he was saying a woman wants a man that she can fear. I think it's the use of the language. I didn't like that at all. We don't want fear. So yeah, I totally support the message. And we need you to take your leadership position, my dear brothers. Do not allow the ideas that are floating around us to destroy your relationships, to destroy our relationships. Women do not enjoy weakness. We don't. No, we don't. Please, 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 and please. But to be a leader, you don't have to show up by being a bully. I've said that enough in all the episodes, right? So it's not about the woman, it's about you. You building yourself up, building yourself to a point where you're proud of yourself, and therefore you can show up confident. And it's not easy. It's not easy because it requires discipline. So please go and start with personal development. Show up as a sensible, decent, hardworking, proud man with no boasting, but silently accepting your leadership role in this world. I care. And I'm going to end it here and see you next Saturday. Please go and become the leader that you're supposed to be. That is your role in this world. Things are happening and things are changing. And if you don't get yourself into that position, whether or not it's because of relationships, doesn't even matter. You need to be a self-confident person who has respect for himself. All of us need that. So go and start working on yourself, because the world is turning into something, and you're going to find out real soon that if you miss this boat of working on yourself and developing yourself, you're going to be very sorry. You're going to be very sorry. Things are changing in the world as we know it. If you haven't noticed it, I can't even help you with that, because the only thing I'm here for right now is to talk to our brothers to become the leaders that they're supposed to be. Okay? And I'm signing out now. I'm going to break this episode into two so that it'll be shorter, so that it may be 30 minutes long. I'll do episode 7 part 1 and episode 7 part 2. All right? Bye-bye now. Let me see. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. See you next Saturday.